Welcome to the Ed Newsstand podcast. I'm your host, Troy Reynolds. This is Season 3, Episode 15 of the podcast, and the episode title is More Classroom Resources. In my last episode, I shared some gaming websites you could use with your students leading up to and after winter break. The websites weren't exclusive to the winter break timeframe, but they were something that could help change things up. This week, I'm going to share with you more resources I found on social media and remind you of some oldie but goodie websites. You can use these resources now or put them in your pocket and save them for later. If you don't find any of these websites useful but know of someone that might benefit, please share this podcast or these resources with them. You can see we have a lot of resources available for you in this week's newsletter. And I just want to go over some of the basics here real quick of how to navigate the newsletter this week. So you can see that I have 4 different TikTok resources for you, and from each TikTok resource, it has actually come from a specific user. So for example, the Teachermade resource, which we're going to go over first, was introduced to me, well, I'll give them credit, but was from Math Teacher MN. So you can see here that I have their TikTok name at the top. So if you click on that, you can actually go right to their TikTok page and see all of the videos that they've made on the site. If you want to see the specific video that they made with regard to Teachermade, you can click on the iPhone here and it will link right to that specific video. Then if you want to go to the Teachermade website, you can click on the computer and that will take you directly to the Teachermade website to get started. So that's just a quick little overview of how to navigate all of the resources here on the newsletter. So let's get started with some of these resources here. So the first one we're going to check out is Teachermade. So you can convert all of your paper printouts into digital activities delivered online. So you can see here, here is the Teachermade website. So you can scroll through here and look at a lot of the features and see if this is something that you are more interested in. I'm going to give you a little mini tutorial, but you can convert all of your papers to different quizzes or handouts or check-ins, whatever you want to do. So I'm just going to log in, and I'm actually already logged in. So you can see here that I've been playing around a little bit before the podcast here just to give you an idea of how this looks. So you'll see I did one on contractions, so I can look at the contractions assignment. I can see the score. I can see the student that took it. I can see when they submitted it. I can click on the score and I can actually see the worksheet and how they did. I can leave a comment back. I can return it back to the student. So there's a lot of different aspects of this that I can look at with regard to how the student did. I can even print it out. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to go back to my worksheet. So you can see here, I'm going to give you a little overview of how you can edit some of the things. So this is another one that I uploaded already. It's not done. I wanted to kind of get it started here. So I can go in here and over on the 3 dots on the side, I can edit the content. And when you go into your worksheet and you have it uploaded, you can see that I have a toolbar here at the top. So you can use this toolbar at the top, or under the insert word, you get all of the same options for your toolbar, right? So if I want to provide a short answer, I can just click short answer and then I get a crosshair and I can just add a little text box in here. And if I make it too small, I can easily change it, right? I can edit my short answer up here. There's a blue button that appears in the toolbar. When I click edit that, then it tells me that I can change the number of points that are available and I can change the correct answer. I'm going to type the word flower. Now, I can add other correct answers. I can also answers must match the case, upper or lower, to be correct. So this is specific if you want to make sure that the students don't write an uppercase word flower. You can match that and so they'll get it incorrect. Then I just save my change. And you can see that the correct answer populates there in the choice. So let's insert just another little drop down. So I'm going to do a drop down and I'm going to add it right here. I'm going to edit my drop down and now I can add a bunch of choices. So I can say flower or I can add the word flower. And I can shuffle my order if I want to, and it'll move things around, and then I check mark the correct answer. So I save that answer. When I'm all done, I just go over here to File, and I choose Close. And then my worksheet is all done. So I would have gone through the whole process of making sure that I filled in all of the spots on that worksheet to get this ready to go. And then I can choose the little 3 dots over here and I can assign the worksheet. I can also preview the worksheet. So if I want to preview, I just click preview. And you can see that this is what the students will see with the toolbars at the top. So one little nice feature here is students do have a pencil and they can change their ink type and then they can actually write on the worksheet. So much like the Kami app, this would be another way that you could utilize a PDF online if we don't end up having Kami in the future, or if your district doesn't have Kami now. Teachermade is free and a nice, quick, easy way for students to work with a PDF online. So you have the pencil, you do have an eraser, and if you just erase certain stuff, it will erase each moment that you wrote. So the length that you write doesn't matter. That counts as one instance, and your eraser will just erase all of that at one time. So that's how you preview. You can play around with it. You can actually click the check my answer box. So if I type flower in here and I choose the drop down and I choose flower here and I do check my answers, it will check my answers. I got 50% because I didn't answer these, and then it will tell me the correct answer in there as well. So if I want to create an assignment, so I previewed, I'm going to click Create Assignment. Here you go. Here's my assignment name. I want students to sign in using their Google account. And then you can choose to show the score to students when they submit their work. How should the score be displayed? You can choose how you want the score to be displayed. I'll move my little face over here. And you can choose to hide the toolbar. So when you create the assignment, you'll see here, I get a URL, or I can choose to share it directly to Google Classroom. So you can see here that since I'm logged in with my Google account, it will ask me to choose my class. I will find my class. Then it populates right up to an assignment to create. There is the link to that. So now I have posted that assignment in my class. So let's look at, here's the assignment. I click on the assignment. I begin with Google. I log in, and I can start to work on the assignment. And I can save it for later if I want to. So if students want to come back to it at a later point, they can certainly just save it. It doesn't turn it in, it just saves it. When they are all done, they click the I'm done button. Their answers are submitted. If I go back to the teacher side of things, you can see here, here's my assignment. It got turned in. It's at 100%, and I can choose to return that assignment. One last thing I want to show you here is if I go to my actions, I can create a worksheet. I can enter the name of the worksheet. Now the great thing about Teachermade is if you have a PDF with multiple pages and you don't want to use all of the pages at once the PDF drops in here, you can choose which page specifically that you want to add to your Teachermade assignment. So you can see this PDF has multiple pages, but I only want to use one page. So I'm going to select the one page, and then I'm going to create the worksheet. Now, as soon as I click create, now it drops into allowing me to edit this part of my assignment. And when I'm all done, just like before, I can click close. So that's Teachermade. The great thing about Teachermade is you don't actually have to create a class in Teachermade. As soon as you create your assignments and link your assignments right to Google Classroom, all of that just feeds back into your account. So students don't actually have to join your Teachermade class. It's all tied in with your Google account and your Google Classroom. So a really nice approach to working with PDFs and having that ability for students to work on those PDFs online. So definitely recommend you check out Teachermade. All right, the next resource that I want to talk about comes from Caffeinated Classroom, and the website is Quizalize. So if you use Kahoot, you use Quizizz, you use Quizlet, all of these things together, they kind of all are very similar. So if you're working with Kahoot and Quizizz, Quizalize is going to seem very, very familiar for you. So you can see once you log in to the website, it brings you to a space where you can look at other teachers' games that they have made or their assignments that they've made for students. So you can click on that assignment here. You can play the quiz specifically. You can edit the questions. So as soon as you edit the questions, then it becomes a resource for you. You can choose to start a game in class. So again, like Kahoot or Quizizz, you can share the link. You can even print a bubble sheet for kids. So if maybe a kid doesn't have their Chromebook or their iPad with them, you can just print out a hard copy worksheet for them. You can also assign it as homework like you can do in Kahoot and in Quizizz. So if I choose edit the questions, you can see here when I click edit the questions, boom, here are all of the questions, and now I can choose to change this any way that I like. So right now it is set to Florida Social Studies Standards for grade 7. I can align this quiz to a standard or a topic. Unfortunately, Minnesota is not available. You do have the Common Core if that's something that you would like to work off of, but Minnesota is not available specifically in the standards. There are quite a few states that are available, but so you can look through these and see if there's one that you want to specifically align to, or you don't necessarily have to align to that standard either. So you can see when you go into the question, you have multiple options here. You can choose to move the question up or down. You can duplicate the question. You can add different incorrect choices. You can provide an explanation. You can give a subtopic as an explanation. You can choose the duration of the question. You can choose whether to turn on math mode. And so if you choose to do that, then math mode actually activates and allows you to write complex equations. So that's kind of nifty. I'm going to turn that off. You can use images within your question. So if you want students to specifically answer the question based on an image, you can do that. You can insert audio, so you can record your voice if you want to add that as an option in your question, or you can do the text to speech here. So by activating this option, your students will be able to have your questions and answer choices read aloud by their computer or mobile device. So many cool options that I haven't seen in some of the other online platforms. So pretty cool. So I'm going to just save this to my library. So you can see here in my library, I have some choices to work off of, and I can choose the 3 dots in the corner. And from these 3 dots, again, I have some choices from which to work with. I can do a student preview. So this is what it looks like from the student perspective. So I can answer the questions. I get it right. It took me no time at all. Another option here is I can just share the link. I can choose to assign it. So I can play in class, assign as homework, or assign as an exam. So some of my choices are scheduled for later. I have the mastery mode, so the quiz will only end when all answers are correct. Use music and sounds. I can turn that off. I can turn off the timer. I can choose how many questions I want. I can randomize the questions. And then I can allow students to see their results. I can provide feedback. I can show the correct answer, or I can also allow students to capture their work with the camera and upload that specifically. So if I want them to working on an outside worksheet, or maybe you provide a PDF that they have to print off and resubmit that through an image, then you have that option to do that as well. So one really cool thing specifically about Quizalize is if I want to create a new quiz, I go in here and I can add new questions. So you can see here, just simply add new questions. We've already seen those, the way that we add questions that way. But one thing that it has is you can import questions from a spreadsheet. So if you already have those available for you, you can use the spreadsheet option, or you can import from Quizlet. So if I click on this import from Quizlet, I can choose my question type. So multiple choice, scrambled answers, or free text entry. And if I go over to Quizlet and I find a question, or I find a set of cards that are available on Quizlet, and I choose the little 3 dots here in the corner, I can choose to export. And then here are all of my options. And I can copy the text. Then I can go back here to Quizalize, and I can paste my text in here, and I can submit. And then it automatically populates all of my questions for me. You would have to go through and change the duration and any of this other information that you wanted to add incorrect answers or answer explanations. But it does provide a quiz immediately for me based on the things that you would find in Quizlet. So just another route for you to go through if you are in Quizalize and want to make a quiz quickly. So a couple of other things that I want to talk about with regard to Quizalize is if I go into my activity list, because I have one activity already going, I can actually analyze the results. So you can see here, as students are specifically playing your activity, you can see who maybe needs help. So I can do the show me. So this will see who needs help and what I need help with. So it'll show exactly what happened with the student and what they answered and how quickly that they answered and how many points they specifically have. And you can also see then here the average score for your exam. So much like Quizizz, you'll be able to see how students are doing in real time on the quiz. Secondly, when you have a resource that you are assigning to students and you turn on mastery mode, and when you turn on mastery mode and you actually click the assign activity, down here it will show you what happens to the students, and you have to decide specifically what you are going to do for the students to help differentiate based on that information. So if students score less than 50%, what are you going to do? Are you going to assign another Quizalize? Are you going to provide them a YouTube video, a PDF link, or a website link? If they score between 50 and 80%, what are you going to do? So it also gives you some options for different resources that other teachers have found that are helpful for students. And same here, 2 resources used by other teachers found if they score between 50 and 80%. So you choose how you want students to proceed as you are working through when you actually set up the assignment for mastery. The next resource comes from Teachermade Schmansky. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. Anyway, she talks about Baamboozle.com, and Baamboozle.com is a Jeopardy-style learning tool. You can find games on just about any topic, or you can easily create your own. So you'll see here that I have created a game already called Keyboard Shortcuts, and I created, here's all the answers. So I created 15 different variables. You have a study option, and so students don't actually need an account to play Baamboozle. They can just go in and play any of these that they want to. So they can study first, they can view them as a slideshow, or they can play. So if we click play, you can choose the number of teams that you want to play. And so if I choose this, then I can also choose what I would like to do. Do I want to do a quiz? Do I want to do classic? Or do I want to do classic junior? Now, the classic does not require you to sign in. So I'm just going to choose classic. So you can see that it's a Jeopardy style board. When I click on it, I'm going to see what does Control Z do. It's an undo button. I'm going to check, and then it's basically the honor system. Did I get it right? Okay, I got it right. I'll go to another one. Control V is a paste. And if I got it wrong, I would say oops, and I would lose points on that. So Baamboozle, just a Jeopardy style game for you to play with your students. And again, you create the number of teams. Quick way to show you here how to create a new game. You just click new game, add some questions. You can't choose multiple choice unless you unlock Baamboozle Plus, which does cost money per month. But if you want to use the free version, you can simply use this much like you would use Quizlet, but just again in a Jeopardy type format. So you choose the question, you choose how many points the question is worth, and you just keep going through and adding. And as you add more and more, your questions and answers will populate down here on the bottom. If at any point you need to go back and edit them or throw them away, you can easily throw them away. To find games that are already created on Baamboozle, just go to the games up here, and here you go. You can see all of the games that are available. You can search different topics. So if I want to search on the Constitution, here's all kinds of stuff on the Constitution. I've got all that stuff. Do I want to search it on nouns? I can do it on nouns. Here's all kinds of nouns. There are just 250,000 games made by teachers right now on Baamboozle. So definitely recommend checking out Baamboozle if you want to have a nice activity for students, and you can share out that resource to students very quickly and easily. So if I go into this keyboard shortcuts here, right, here's my share button, and I can share it out many different ways. The next resource that I found will keep students guessing for quite a long time, and this is more recommended for either upper elementary or high school students, but it's called Make24, and it's on the coolmathgames website, but it comes from Mathematically Enthused on TikTok. And so when you're on the game, you just take these options here and you use all 4 of the numbers and the operations here at the bottom and just make 24. So if I choose the numbers, 3 plus 4, it will make 7. I want to add that to 8. That gives me 15. And if I multiply by 3, that's too much. That's too much from 45. So I can choose the undo. If students get too frustrated, they can click on the little flag up here at the top, and it will say give up and show the solution. You can choose yes, and then it will show students the solution to get to 24. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, 4 minus 1 is 3, 3 times 8 is 24. And then students can choose to play again. So the idea is to see how many they can get right in a row to create their streak. and they can just keep playing this. So it's called Make 24, and it is on the coolmathgames website. So the last resource that I want to talk about is mathigon.org. And so this is where students can explore, discover, and actively engage in problem solving and creativity. It's a great resource for students and for teachers. So let's go over to Mathigon. And you can see here that I have just been playing around a little bit, and I have created a couple of classes. So if I'm in here, so I have a class code, much like students know how to utilize with Google Classroom. And you can see down here at the bottom, new students can join your class by using the specific code, or you can actually import your students from Google Classroom. So this is pretty awesome. So what I'm going to show you here is I'm going to show you some of the courses to begin with. And so Mathigon should be used with grades 6 through 12. And as you work through here, you'll see hammers and wrenches, and this means that this area is still under construction and not available for you to assign to students. But if you do go down to some of the areas here, so this is a pretty new operation, I believe. But if you go down here a little bit farther, you'll see that you can actually assign this. So if I have this information here, I can choose to assign it. So I can click Share, and then Google Classroom is one of my options. So what I want to do is I want to show you what it looks like when you import your Google Classroom students, and then when you share this out, what you can see from the student side of things, or on the student side of things. So let's go back to my courses. I'm going to import my class from Google Classroom. Now what you'll see here is it actually literally grabbed every single Google Classroom that we have on our Google platform. So it's going to be kind of difficult for you to find the specific one that you're looking for, because it doesn't really look like that they are in any alphabetical order. So this might take a while. So I found my class, and I found that I have successfully imported my one student, because I just have one student in my class. So you can see here that I have my course, I have my divisibility and primes, share this to Google Classroom. So now from the student perspective, here is my assignment. I'm going to log in. And now when I'm in here, I can choose to reveal all of the stuff at one time, or I can choose to work through this little by little, okay? And as I work through, you'll see at the top, I have so many questions that I need to answer in this little mini quiz, and I can tell which ones I get right and which ones I get wrong. And so as you work through, you'll see the students can see exactly how far they are along in this factors and multiples. They are almost a quarter of the way through. If I go back to my Mathigon website, I can look in here and I can see exactly where students are at. So as far as the whole divisibility and primes assignment that I gave them, you can see I am just a little bit ways along. But under the factors and multiples, I can see that I'm almost a quarter of the way through this assignment, and how much time I've specifically spent on this assignment in my weekly time. So this is Mathigon. You can kind of look through the different courses and see what are available for you. The other cool thing here in the Mathigon site is that they have all kinds of different activities for you to play with your students. So they have polypads, which if you want to look at the polypads, all kinds of different resources for you. Here you've got utensils, you can drop out numbers. They've got fractions. You just drop them over and you can spin them around. You can change the color of them if you want to. So a lot of really awesome resources for you to utilize for free, just right out over here in the polypad. So let me go back over to my activities and show you just a few more that are available. So here's one that's just problems and puzzles. So here you go, some problems and puzzles for your kids to play. A pandemic is spreading, and so students can play this game. They have to figure out which action goes in each tile. And you can go all the way back in your puzzle calendars, all the way back to 2017 when they started rolling these out, because they have different activities for each year. So go ahead and use these with your students, both the courses and the activities. This is called Mathigon. And as you see in the newsletter this week, there is also an iPad app that I will make available for students in their self-service. The last two resources I want to talk about are just quickly Kahoot and Quizizz. I know everybody's probably a big Kahoot user because it's been around for just forever, basically. But now within Kahoot, you can add your Bitmoji. That's right. There is a link to the blog post about adding your Bitmoji to Kahoot. So you can read through this article here and learn how to add your Bitmoji specifically into Kahoot. And Students themselves can add their Bitmoji into Kahoot as they play along. So it will help liven up your podium as you are playing Kahoot in your classroom. Lastly here, Quizizz has some new question types available. So you can see here, they've had multiple choice in the past, but now we've got checkbox, we've got fill in the blank, we've got a poll we can ask, and we have open-ended questions. All new question types in Quizizz. You can watch the video on YouTube and look at how Quizizz is also introducing how to use their platform for lessons. So it's not just strictly about asking and answering questions, but it is about presenting content. Kahoot does the same thing. They have a resource for that as well. But a lot of new updates to Quizizz that came out back in September. So I definitely recommend you checking that out. So a lot of great resources: Teachermade, Quizalize, Make24, Baamboozle, Mathigon, and some of the great new updates to Kahoot and Quizizz. That's it for this episode of the Ed Newsstand Podcast. I really appreciate you listening to the podcast or watching the video version on my YouTube channel, because I know your time is valuable. I'd like to thank all of the TikTokers, Math Teacher MN, Caffeinated Classroom, Mathematically Enthused, and Teacher Shemansky for posting videos on a resource they use in their real life or in their classroom. As for my social media, you can follow me on Twitter at ReynoldsTroy or on Instagram at ednewsstand. If you're listening on any podcast platform and would like to hear more, please like and subscribe to receive updates and have any new episodes automatically downloaded for you. You can also revisit my previous episodes on any major podcasting platform like Spotify, Anchor.fm, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio. Finally, if you'd like to download my app to have my podcast and newsletters right on your smart device, please check it out at ednewsstand.glideapp.io and save it to your home screen. If you don't want the app but would like to check out my resources, please visit my website at ednewsstand.weebly.com. This is Troy Reynolds, and this is the Ed Newsstand Podcast, hoping you were able to take away at least one idea for your classroom. Please be safe until next time.